Yes, good morning, fellow American. Here once again. My name is Eduardo Rodriguez, requesting the freedom of Roger Stones immediately. The number to call, let's flood this number, 202-456-1414. Roger Stone is a hero of the conservative idea. This man is innocent. He was put in prison by a conspiracy from the extreme left. In other words, the CPUSA, alias Democrat Party. We're also requesting the freedom, the immediate freedom, not only of Roger Stone, of Cuba, Venezuela, which I know Donald Trump has sent the Sixth Fleet, and a large army to the coast of Venezuela. I think it's already in the perimeter between the borderline in Colombia and Venezuela. Let's get rid of communism. What it's doing is just destabilizing the whole world, the countries next to it. And these people are evil. They're just plain evil. They want to conquer, they want to destroy, and they don't care. They're just evil to the core, and they have to be eliminated. Their idea has to be eliminated, including the CPUSA in the United States, which no longer is the Democrat Party. It's now officially the Communist Party. A person like Bernie Sanders, who stepped down, but still is supporting Biden and forcing Biden to see his views, impose his views, instead of the will of the people, shows how evil these people are. They will not rest until they destroy America. And we have to destroy them. We have to eliminate the Democrat Party. It's no longer a party of the people. It's now the party of evil. They are siding with evil. There's a lot of news here today. There's a lot of videos. I'm just going to put the most important ones of them, which I deem important. I might be wrong, but like I say, if by any chance the signal goes off on me, or for some reason I can't continue, hey, just go into my blog by putting down my name, Eduardo Rodriguez. I pledge allegiance to the flag. Okay, so now I'm going to pass this one, and we're going to go directly to the news, see what's happening. From the religion of peace. And I keep saying this and putting it out. It's already in Jihad Watch. You know, you don't have to rely on what I'm saying here, because this information I get out of Robert Spencer's page called Jihad Watch. And this is what's happening. These people call themselves the religion of peace, and look what they threaten to do. Hamas threatens to murder 6 million Israelis over ventilators. You know, they don't invent anything. The only thing they do is destroy. You know, they can't invent a ventilator, which they have the people, they have the brains to do it, but they just don't, you know, they just want to conquer, kill, murder in mass people who do not agree with them, with their type of satanic rituals. So that's what they're doing. They're threatening Israel, the birthplace of Christianity. You know, plus their book by Muhammad was based on the Old Testament, on the Torah. And these people do not want to abide by the Bible. They want to abide by a book that was created by the false prophet 600 years after the death of Christ. That's to show you how evil these people are. They just want to, and there's inconsistency in the book. There's proven inconsistency. So your opinion, you know, you think about it all. Think about it all, because there's people who still believe these people are religion of peace. They see these women dressed up and all covered their whole body. You don't know if they're suicide bombers. And I know people say, oh, I thought they were how you call it, nuns, because they would dress with these type of habits. I said, no, it's an evil terrorist organization. It's not a religion. They're a criminal organization. Don't let them fool you. They want to kill you. Okay, I got videos on Cuba, what Cuba used to be like. But I'm going to put like maybe 2 of Cuba, and there's one I want to put on. This is just so interesting and important. The people know what's happening in North Korea, what communism is all about, how communist in the ex-Soviet Union used to be like. The example is in North Korea. So I'm going to try to put that one on. Let me put this one here by Bill Maher. You know, sometimes I wonder, Bill Maher is suffering some kind of a loose screw, because one moment he reasons, he comes into reality, and then the next, he falls into space. Just like Joe Biden, you know, he doesn't, you know, we can't figure out what kind of a person this guy is. One minute he's for evil, and one minute he's for justice and truth. Let's hear what he has to say. It's right here. Let me see how long it lasts. If it's too long, I'm not gonna. Yeah, it lasts 12. Okay, well, I'm still gonna put it on.
Virus and blame China. The answer is we should blame China, not Chinese Americans. But we can't stop telling the truth. So when someone says, "What if people hear Chinese virus and blame China?" The answer is we should blame China, not Chinese Americans. But we can't stop telling the truth because racists get the wrong idea. There are always going to be idiots out there who want to indulge their prejudices. But this is an emergency. Don't we have bigger tainted fish to fry? Jesus, if the sun was exploding, Twitter would pile on the first guy who called it a dwarf star. Sorry, Americans, we're going to have to ask you to keep 2 ideas in your head at the same time. This has nothing to do with Asian Americans, and it has everything to do with China. We can't afford the luxury anymore of non-judginess towards a country with habits that kill millions of people everywhere, because this isn't the first time. SARS came from China, and the bird flu, and the Hong Kong flu, the Asian flu. Viruses come from China like shortstops come from the Dominican Republic. If they were selling nuclear suitcases at these wet markets, would we be so non-judgmental? And isn't this pretty close to what they are selling? And the next one could be even worse.
Wow, the ultra-liberal Bill Maher tears into woke liberals and calls all leftists everywhere to reject one rule of political correctness. That's right, even members of the political left have had it with PC woke culture, and they're not standing for it anymore. We're going to take a look at what Bill Maher had to say and why he's not alone. More and more leftists are finally rising up and pushing back against the insane resentment of politically correct wokeness. Is going to make your day. Greetings, everyone. Awesome to be with you. Dr. Steve here, the Super Sage and Sound Lockdown Saturday to all of you, and a blessed Easter weekend, each and every one of you. If this is your first time here at this channel, we post 2 videos a day, analyzing current events and some super awesome conservative trends so you can live in the present in light of even better things to come. So if you haven't already done so, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe. But it'd be an absolute privilege to have you as a regular part of this channel, where we each and every day together get to celebrate the inevitable collapse of left-wing globalism and the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age. Also, for everyone, before you do anything else, right? Stop. Before you do anything else, make sure to click on that link below and check out the really cool video that we just
put together it's one of the best.
Featuring our brand new Charlie Talks Insiders Club. We're so thankful to all of you who've already signed up. You are going to love being a part of this massive group of conservatives from all over the world to network with. By becoming a member, you'll get more exclusive access to me and our journey together into this new conservative age we're embarking on. Each week, you get a special deep dive video reserved solely for our Insiders members. You get access to our private Facebook group that features conservatives from all over the world. Plus, you even get my monthly reading list to keep you updated on the best and most enriching information that's out there for you. You get a number of bonus videos, and you'll even get some awesome swag, some really cool accessories like our Turley Talks tumbler to drink your coffee in, or whatever your beverage of choice is this glorious Easter weekend. So don't wait. Make sure to click on the link below and watch the video on the Turley Talks Insiders Club to get a fuller sense of what you'd be a part of. I think you're going to really, really enjoy it, love it, and it was a privilege to put together for you, and it'll be a privilege to journey with you into this new conservative age together. All right, let's dive in here. The ultra-liberal TV host Bill Maher is turning heads of late. On Friday night, he launched into an extended soliloquy on the insanity of left-wing virus shaming as the latest absurdity coming out of the farcically idiotic movement known commonly
this might be the end of
political correctness. Maher did not hold back. To his credit,
with the Democrats.
Full-blown rant about how we most certainly ought to blame China for the coronavirus. And this, of course, is because we've had a long tradition of naming viruses based on their geographic origins. I mean, the examples are seemingly endless. There's the West Nile virus, the Spanish flu, MERS stands for Middle East Respiratory Syndrome. I come from Connecticut. It is a town named Old Lyme, from which we derive the term Lyme disease, coming from the ticks there. So Mark wants to know, why on earth is China getting a pass here? And he said it bluntly, it scares me that there are people out there who would rather die from the virus than call it by the wrong name. But Bill nails it. And you know, Bill Maher isn't alone in this left-wing rejection of political correctness. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Ken Wilber. Okay, Wilber was once a very, very well-known author. He wrote the book, the best-selling book, A Brief History of Everything. He's actually written tons of books, but he's basically one of the world's leading theorists on the evolution of consciousness. And what's so interesting here is that Wilber has theorized that the evolution of consciousness has gone through a number of identifiable stages, all right? So according to his schema, the first stage of consciousness is like this egocentric, right, self-referential, instinctual consciousness, which then develops into a second stage, which becomes, according to him, an ethnocentric, in a sense, nationalistic consciousness. So we're on a lower stage of consciousness, according to the schema, at least as I understand it. Perhaps some of you have a better insight in this, all right? So you first have like the self-awareness, self-referential stage. Maybe I guess we'll call it the teenager stage of consciousness. Then consciousness develops into a sense of understanding oneself as being part of a larger race and ethnicity. And then there's the next stage, which is being like world-centric, rational, individualistic, modern. So that's the stage we entered into supposedly, I guess, in the 18th century Enlightenment. And then starting in the 1960s, we entered into a fourth stage of the evolution of consciousness, you know, the so-called Age of Aquarius, right? Where we became world-centered, pluralistic, and postmodern. Now, regardless of what anyone thinks about the schema, what's so interesting is that Wilber has recently written on the evolution of human consciousness in the age of Trump. Really, it's quite fascinating reading, because what he in effect argues is that Trump represents the consolidation of the first three phases of human consciousness evolution into a massive anti-fourth stage resentment and rebellion. And what we are, those of us who are on those lower ends of the evolutionary spectrum, what we're rebelling against, according to Wilber, we, through Trump, we are collectively rebelling against a whole host of contradictions that plague this fourth stage in consciousnous development. What Wilber recognizes is that our current liberal globalist world order, which he sees embodied in this supposed fourth stage of human conscious evolution, has collapsed into a radically hypersensitive political correctness that itself foments resentment and anger, what we would know today as cultural Marxist sentiments, that are constantly pitting people of different sexes and races and classes against each other. And this reminded me so much of what media critic Angela Nagel called Tumblr liberals. As the name suggests, these were liberals who dominated the social network sharing site Tumblr, right? We can put Facebook in that as well. So that both Tumblr and Facebook, they recognize their audience as being part of this woke resentment class, and they basically accommodated them in their fomenting of resentment. So this is where Facebook infamously gets into the whole, 70 plus gender options for its users and all that nonsense. This is where social media sites have basically accommodated what they see as their main users. And in the case of Tumblr and Facebook, it was cultural Marxist liberals who thrive off of the resentment and anger that sustains politically correct sentiments, which ended up resulting in, for a time, a monopolization of a whole sphere of the internet that Nagel calls the cult of suffering and the incessant practice of cry bullying. Is that a great term? Cry bullying? And in such a world where we have terms to describe crimes against sexual and racial and physical minorities, such as misogyny and racism and sexism and ableism and all that, there's simply no place for, white, male, Christian conservatives within the sphere of the internet. So today we're seeing a massive rebellion against this politically correct cult of suffering, this incessant cry bullying and resentment and judgment and denouncement of everything non-woke, the so-called Great Awakening. Now, like Wilbur and Marr, this media critic, Angela Nagel, is also liberal. She identifies with the political left, but she's also seeing how left-wing liberalism has degenerated into this thoroughly negative, angry, judgmental, resentful political correctness that gets offended by quite literally everything that is not policed by the political left. If it's not been officially policed, if whatever you're doing has not been the subject of the censoring standards of the political left, it is by definition a legitimate object of guilt and suspicion. By definition, it's tainted with bigotry, racism, homophobia, intolerance, sexism, you name it. And so I think one of the most impressive developments that's been happening over the last several years, that's now only intensified with this worldwide pandemic, is the increasingly explicit rejection of political correctness, even by the left. According to a recent survey by an international research initiative called More in Common, researchers asked 8,000 respondents a number of questions about race, immigration, sexism, free speech, other cultural issues. And what they found is that a full 80% of the respondents believed, and I quote here, that political correctness is a problem in our country, close quote. And what the researchers found was that age was not even an issue here. Even younger respondents were prone to finding political correctness radically problematic. Nearly 75% of those between the ages of 20. Interestingly, an astonishing 61% of liberals despise political correctness as well. So we can see where Bill Maher and Ken Wilber and Angela's highest approval ever. I think it's going to absolutely make your day. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. A blessed Easter weekend to all of you.
Okay, that's it. Let's go to the next one. Let me see which one I can choose. I don't want to be too long here today because there's a lot of news in Spanish. And there's a lot of news for here too. I'm going to try to be as short as I can, but entertaining at the same time, so people won't get bored of what I'm showing here. So that's why I want to get these videos that are most impressive, and at the same time entertain in a certain way, entertain you. Okay, this one is pretty important. I want to leave the Korea and Cuba for last.
A Biden advisor making a critical revelation about what life would be like in the Biden regime. I just hope we never get there, right? Before I go further into this report, if you're new to the channel, I invite you to tap the red subscribe button down below, then hit that notification bell so you're the first to know when news breaks. This story from Jennifer Van Laar from Red State Reports said Dr. Zeke Emanuel, Rahm Emanuel's brother, says that we must stay locked down for 12 to 18 months. So what's the Biden regime going to look like? Everyone locked in their homes. Yeah. Dr. Zeke Emanuel is a member of Joe Biden's Public Health Advisory Committee. He went on MSNBC and declared that realistically CV will be here for the next 18 months. And that we will not be able to return to normalcy until we find a vaccine or effective medications. I read that, the communist one is downplaying of hydroxychloroquine, which the president touted as a solution. And many doctors are fighting as a solution because they can't give the president a win, but they certainly want a vaccine they can push out so that Big Pharma can make a boatload of cash, right? Let's listen to this clip here from MSNBC.
They're all about money, money, money,
COVID-19
money,
will
money.
be here for the next 18 months or more. We will not be able to return to normalcy until we find a vaccine or effective medications. I know that's dreadful news to hear. How are people supposed to find work if this goes on in some form for a year and a half?
I don't trust this guy. I don't trust this guy at all.
I don't trust none of the Democrats.
He's from the Obama machine. He's Rahm Emanuel's brother.
A terrorist
Never let a
regime.
crisis
That's what
go to
Obama
waste
regime
guy,
was.
Remember?
Is all that economic pain worth trying to stop COVID-19? The truth is, we have no choice. If we
We have no choice.
Lying.
We endure the economic pain. That's what he wants. That's what all the Democrats have wanted for a long time. They've been telegraphing that message since before the CV crisis outbreak.
Because the Democrats are
I'll say it
communists.
again. They were all hoping for a recession. They were pushing for a recession. The media was pushing for a recession. But it didn't take. They couldn't push that message out hard enough for the people to believe it to affect the markets. So what do? They take advantage of a crisis. Biden already calls it an opportunity to change things in this country. They take advantage of the crisis. You get people like Bricks and Fauci out there pushing exaggerated numbers that they're now revising to push that panic and fear to crush the economy and then blame Trump for a late reaction. That, my friends, is how they never let a good crisis, go to waste.
really end that physical distancing and the other measures, keeping it at bay, deaths could skyrocket into the hundreds of thousands, if not a million. We cannot return to normal until there's a vaccine. Conferences, concerts, sporting events, religious services, dinner in a restaurant, none of that will resume until we find a vaccine.
Vaccine.
Treatment or a cure. One thing I've learned as a cancer doctor is that it's wrong to paint an overly rosy picture in order to maintain a patient's hope. It's wrong because it fails.
How about a realistic picture? How about just a real picture?
False. Biology and disease are formidable opponents that inevitably tell us the truth. We cannot relieve the oppression of this pandemic until we are realistic. We need to
After
prepare
you gain
ourselves for
to
this
destroy the United States,
and for the toll that it will take. We need to develop a long-term solution based on those facts.
the solution of the communists.
What we are losing while this fight goes on. Things like schooling and income and contact with our friends and extended family. Lawrence, the crisis is not going to go away in a few weeks or after the 30-day plan comes to an end. Although COVID-19 is affecting us in different ways, we have to be up to it and fight together.
Lawrence O'Donnell sitting there. Stop the hammering! Lawrence O'Donnell is probably one of the most evil men on MSNBC. Next to Rachel Maddow. Unreal. But yeah, there you go. There's Zeke. Painting that picture. Everyone's going to be locked down. Now, they say here that trials are already showing positive results for the use of hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin, yet Dr. Emanuel didn't even mention that possible treatment, though at least twice he mentioned the presence of an effective treatment as one qualification for getting life back to normal in the United States, but he was pushing those vaccines real well. I wonder how much him and his brothers have a stake in those companies. Unbelievable. Comment below. We'll see you with the next report for the Next News Network. I'm Gary Franchi. Thank you for watching that last report. You know, coffee is a simple part of our day, but in a pandemic, it can make a world of difference. Franklin's Finest Coffee is the first.
Next one. Okay, let me put this one on maybe I might put some other news, but I want to put this one on this Kim Jong-un individual. Look at the stream that he goes to while the people suffer of extreme hunger, people dying of hunger.
Politics. Few dictators wield such absolute power and rule so ruthlessly. He oversees numerous prisons and labor camps, comprised of his political opponents and their families. Because of his human rights infractions and prickly foreign policy, North Korea's economy is extremely weak. Despite this, he manages to hoard the vast majority of the nation's assets
on the
for
terror.
himself. Today, we're exploring how Kim Jong-un spends his billions. Kim is often seen
On
with
his fat
numerous
self.
luxury rides. The cars are top-of-the-line Mercedes-Benzes, popular with world leaders. The Maybach S62 and Maybach S600
Look at that.
avant-garde, which cost $500,000 to $1.6 million each. And Mr. Kim is using them in open defiance of United Nations sanctions intended to ban luxury goods from North Korea. High-end Western goods are making their way to North Korea's elite through a complex system of port transfers, secret high-seas shipping, and shadowy front companies, according to research by the Center for Advanced Defense Studies, a non-profit Washington group that looks at smuggling networks and an investigation by the New York Times. Kim has bought lavish items from China and other places, like a seaplane, for not only his own family, and has also expensive musical instruments, high-quality TVs, sedans, liquor, watches, and fur as gifts for the elites who prop up his regime, an opposition parliament member said in a statement. Apparently, these goods total more than $4 billion in the last 4 years. Kim Jong-un is not someone to take lightly. On 12 December 2013, Kim ordered the execution of his uncle, Jang Song-thaek, for treachery. Kim is widely believed to have ordered the assassination of his half-brother, Kim Jong-nam, in Malaysia in February 2017. The same year, the North Korean government stated that the CIA of the United States and the South Korean National Intelligence Service hired a North Korean lumberjack who worked in Russia to assassinate Kim Jong-un with a biochemical weapon that was both radioactive and nano-poisonous, and whose effect would have been delayed by a few months. Since then, Kim has beefed up his already impressive security squad. His team is comprised of dozens of highly trained martial artists who jog alongside Kim's limo when he travels. One bizarre requirement being that they can't be taller than pint-sized Kim, who is about 5 feet 5 inches. The mysterious bunch seem to appear from nowhere every time their leader's limo slows down. They also seem to be able to choreograph themselves so that they always have a 360-degree view around Kim. Whenever Kim travels, he flies with 2 decoy jets so that it's unclear which plane he is actually traveling in. All in all, Kim is said to have 90,000 soldiers at the ready to defend him personally at any moment. Back in 2013, the eagle-eyed Hermit Kingdom watchers at NK News noticed something unusual in the latest round of photos from North Korean news agency KCNA. A luxury yacht mysteriously docked at the August 25th fishery station. The image of a luxury yacht in North Korea might take some by surprise, given that UN Security Council blocked the sale of luxury goods to North Korea in 2006. But in practice, there are a lot of ways around this law. Last year, a South Korean newspaper reported that young leader Kim Jong-un had dramatically increased the number of luxury goods imported into the country, including high-end cars, TVs, computers, liquor, and watches. Built by British-based Princess Yachts, the 95 MY is a slightly earlier version of the 98 MY that the company presently sells for $8.7 million, but it is no less sumptuous. Second-hand versions of the 95 MY go for up to $7 million. The vessel was spotted during a May visit to a fishery station covered by the state media. A photograph released by state news agency KCNA showed Mr. Kim and his generals walking along the docks during an inspection. Behind them, a glimpse of the yacht. With North Korean media output often heavily stage-managed, NK News speculated it could well have been deliberately included in the photo. Expensive liquor is something that many want to treat themselves to, and North Korea's supreme leader is no exception. Specifically, Kim Jong-un's favorite 2 drinks are whiskey and cognac, which he imports thousands of bottles from around the world for his own enjoyment. The money he could have used to make improvements to the country is used for his own personal drinking habit. The dictator also has a taste for champagne, and as expected, he only buys the finest options. In an interview, a former associate mentions the free-flowing Cristal, which Jong-un would consume to excess. He recalls the dictator often downing 2 full bottles of Cristal in a single sitting. MSN reports that Kim spends $30 million a year importing high-quality liquors into the communist country to share among small executive circles. He apparently has a taste for whiskey and cognac, specifically Hennessy, which can cost over $6,000 for a high-end bottle. A report by the UK's Metro in 2014 alleged the North Korean dictator regularly indulges in snake wine, which is rumored to increase masculinity in the bedroom and improve the chance of pregnancy. Apparently, Jong-un has a serious drinking habit. This is not good news for a man with access to so many nuclear armaments. Kim Jong-un is a man known for his lavish appetites, so it's perhaps no surprise that he has a fully equipped party island where he likes to entertain visitors. The North Korean dictator has tricked the coastal compound out with a 200-foot pool boat, a $7 million yacht, water slides, theme park rides, and a full football pitch. It is the venue where former NBA star Dennis Rodman was entertained back in 2013 when he was invited to the communist state. The Chicago Bulls ace spent days with Jong-un, drinking fine spirits, smoking expensive cigars, and watching games of basketball, one of the glorious leader's favorite sports. Describing his experience there to The Sun, Rodman said, "But he's the only one that lives there. He's got 50 to 60 people around him all the time. Just normal people, drinking cocktails and laughing the whole time. If you drink a bottle of tequila, it's the best tequila. Everything you want, he has the best." The compound was identified thanks to an image of Kim and Rodman enjoying a drink in a pool house. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un said the country should feed its soldiers better, according to state media KCNA on Wednesday, after a defected North Korean soldier's health in 2018 highlighted nutrition problems in the isolated state. On a visit to a military rations factory, Kim said it should produce tasty and nutritious food to substantially contribute to improving the diet of the service persons. Of course, this is hypocritical, because he chooses to live opulently while the average North Korean starves. While over 10 million North Koreans have suffered severe food shortages, the man has lived like a king. Ahead of Jong-un's summit with Donald Trump, the North Koreans hinted at Kim's preference for fine cuisine, such as caviar and lobster, despite restrictions on the import of such luxury items under sanctions designed to curb his nuclear weapons program. Other favorites include Emmental cheese, sushi, shark fin soup, Kobe steak, Brazilian coffee, and lobster. Because he was brought up as royalty and sent to a private school in Switzerland, Jong-un has never known a world outside his luxurious bubble. Thus, he is discontent with anything other than the finest food. In 2018, Kim Jong-un arrived in Singapore for his historic summit with Donald Trump. Private Ilyushin II-620M jet, operated by state airline Air Koryo, flew into the Singapore airport and turned quite a few heads. It's a venerable Soviet-era aircraft, 39 years old to be precise. Former users of the II-62 include Aeroflot, KLM, Air India, Cubana, and Air France, but all have long since retired from their fleets. In fact, there are few older aircraft still in service anywhere on Earth. The model has a range of around 10,000 kilometers, room for around 180 passengers, and a wingspan of 43.2 meters. The white exterior of the plane is emblazoned with North Korea's official name in Korean on 2 sides, with the national flag next to the text. The tail features a red star inside red and blue circles. The aircraft has modern interiors, and Kim has occasionally been photographed working and holding meetings on board. Kim previously used an IL-76 to transport his armored stretched Mercedes-Benz limousine to Dalian, suggesting Sunday's flight may have carried the same car to Singapore. It was a luxury hotel of a kind the world had never seen before. The 5-star 4 Seasons Barrier Reef Resort opened off the coast of Townsville, Australia in 1988 as the world's first floating hotel, featuring tennis courts, nightclubs, swimming pools, bars and restaurants, a helipad, and almost 200 rooms across 7 stories. The floating hotel was the height of 1980s luxury and put Townsville on the world map. But then, Kim Jong-un decided to buy the boat as a gift for his country. In October 2019, it was reported that Kim Jong-un had visited the site and criticized the facilities, being quoted as saying that they are not only very backward in terms of architecture, but look so shabby as they are not properly cared for. The buildings are just a hopscotch with no national character at all. He reportedly went on to say the unpleasant-looking facilities should be removed, and rebuilt to meet North Korea's own sentiment and aesthetic taste. As a result, the boat was destroyed. For this dictator, a gift to the people was returned before anyone could truly enjoy it. The mysterious train that pulled into Beijing's central train station in March 2019 is now known to have been carrying Kim Jong-un, North Korea's leader, who arrived in the capital for secret talks with his Chinese counterpart. The train spotted in Beijing, 21 cars painted drab green, their windows tinted to obscure the identities of those on board, bore the hallmarks of the bulletproof private transports preferred by the mistrustful leaders of North Korea. Both Mr. Kim's father and grandfather, the country's former leaders, traveled in similar style on rare foreign trips, stoking decades of intrigue and interest about the trains. Not much is known about the contents of the train, but previous accounts and footage show it to be filled with imported French wine, Apple computers, and plush leather seats. Photos from North Korean state media also provide a rare look inside the unusual vehicle. Like most of Kim Jong-un's personal belongings, it is truly luxurious, even as his own citizens starve. While it may be an impressive ride, he would be advised to spend more money rebuilding North Korea's crumbling economy. The North Korean leader, who once went to school in Switzerland, has made tourism a centerpiece of his economic vision since taking power almost a decade ago, building ski resorts to attract winter sports enthusiasts and hard currency. He says that the resort is intended for people to enjoy high civilization under socialism, in another example of the country using tourism exemptions and sanctions to build revenue for its broken economy. North Korea's state TV showed aerial footage of the resort, including its red-roofed hotels, hot spring spas, ski slope, and horse riding park. The broadcast showed thousands of soldiers and flag-waving civilians and children welcoming Kim at the site, which he visited at least 4 times in 2019, according to state media. He smiled as he toured the facilities, which included a solo chairlift ride above the ski slope. But with the coronavirus spreading in China, Kim has shut the border to his neighbor, cutting off the largest group of tourists to North Korea. Worse still, like other snow centers from the French Alps to Japan, North Korea is falling victim to changing Arctic weather patterns that are warming winters and reducing the levels of snow on lower slopes.
Let's see if I can find another one. That's what's happening, and that's a communism. You know, it wouldn't bother me if I see somebody who's rich, but who does it by working hard. But when you see these communists who doesn't work a day in his life, living that luxury while people are starving to death, that's another different story. Let's see if we can go to another one here. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of them. A whole bunch of news today. Wow, there's so much news. I want to show you something here on what Cuba used to be like. Let me see if it's this one. I just don't want to go into it, and then it comes out as not the one I want to show. Let me see how short it is. No, it's not this one. Okay, let's see here.
Life in the U.S.
Okay, it's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking out for what Cuba used to be like and what is that's turned into. I got it somewhere around here. I think I just passed it. Wow, there's so much news here, so much news to educate the liberal mind on what communism is really like. This escapes from North Korea. And I know I got it somewhere here because I got something here that talks about okay, it's right here. I hit it, but then I passed it because I wasn't looking very well. Look what Cuba used to be like and what it is now under communism. Okay, look what communism is all about, how it destroyed Cuba. What Cuba used to be like. There you go, communism. Ahí tienes. Mira a esos socialistas de aquí. That's communism for you. Excuse me for my Spanish. There you go. That's communism. There you go. You want to see what communism? You like communism? That's communism. Oh, wait a minute. It hasn't finished. Oh, it hasn't finished yet. Whoa, 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 whoa. There's still more to see. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Wow. I almost missed this one. It's a supermarket for Cubans. You like that, communist? That's what you want for America? There you go. Hotels for Cubans. There you go. Sears for Cubans. That's for the tourists, not for the Cubans. There you go. Swimming pool for the poor, just like Bernie Sanders wants for us. Transport for tourists. Now transport for the Cubans. Watch this. There you go. Do you like that? You like that, liberals? Let's see if there's more. Okay, I think it's finished now. Yeah. Okay, it's over now. That's what communism does. It destroys the country. It destroys everything. The only people that become rich is people, if God forbid, the Democrats want, it would be Bernie Sanders or it would be Joe Biden. Those are the only rich people. The rest of us will become slaves. That's all. That's what communism is. It's like Ronald Reagan said. Someday, if communism ever comes to the United States, it'll become through liberalism, and that's what they're showing. You know, they're showing the true colors. They no longer hide what they are. What they do is they want to murder millions. Bernie Sanders, no, I'm not like that. Oh no, yes, he is like that. He is like that. He embraces them. He supports them. He supports terrorism. He's like that. He's more evil because he's denying it. He's denying how evil he was. Just like Fidel Castro did. He denied everything until he got into power, started executing people by the hundreds and thousands. The same thing with Nicolás Maduro in Venezuela. Hugo Chavez lied about his true intention until he got the power. Then he started doing everything that the communists do. They started expropriating or stealing property and going into his pocket. All the rich is going into his pocket. Now that Nicolás Maduro is in power, doing the same thing, even through drugs. Even through drugs. These people are a narco regime, a narco-communist criminal regime. And Cuba should also become next. If someday, hope so, which seems like pretty soon, Venezuela becomes free. Now we need to go to Cuba. The Cuban people need to be free. A couple of days ago, Jose Daniel Ferrer Garcia was released from prison with three other, let me see if I remember, Castellanos, and the other guy from they call him the man from the caves, because he was living in caves underground. And there's another one. But then we need to release all of them, all the political prisoners, including those of Venezuela too, which I hope is soon, because it seems like, you know, there's winds of hope that it's going to be soon, that Venezuela is going to be freed from this nightmare. But let's hope and let's pray and let's fight that it doesn't happen in the United States, because if we do, what used to be the Democrat Party, which is now officially the Communist Party of the United States of America, is what's taken over what used to be called the Democrat Party, because all of them are communists, even Pelosi. And you can see how evil they are. They just are true evil. They do not rest in approving and destroying and supporting everything that's against the American people and against the freedom and the welfare of this country. I think I showed you the best of escape. Okay, I want to show it. Let me see if this one lasts too long. If it lasts too long, I'm not gonna. I don't want to go to a point where it's just too long. No, it lasts too long. I'm sorry. They're very good. There was another one on North Korea. Let me see if I can get another short one on North Korea. Okay, let me go to another one on there's another good one here. There's one more that I want to show here, which I know is going to be very interesting. Okay, I'm going to show you one more, and then I'm going to leave it on to you guys so you can get into my blog and see the rest of this. A whole bunch here on North Korea and what's happening. And there's another one, I think another one on Cuba. But I'm going to put this one because this one has to do with Dr. Stephen. Dr. Stephen, God, I forgot, I'm not losing my mind completely. I'm having these brain freezes, just like Joe Biden. In the other video that I did in Spanish, I went into a brain freeze. I'm having these problems that I'm using vitamins. One of them I bought it from InfoWars, which came 2 bottles. One of them I'm using because it has something for the brain power, and the other one I gave to my wife, which she wants it because it gives her a lot of energy. Even though my wife got a lot of energy, I don't know what she's complaining about because she's so very active. And even though we're at this stage of the age, we slow down. Usually, I pray for her every day. I hope God gives her eternal health. I love her to death. Let me put this last one, and then I'll finish here. Because I want to go to the one in Spanish. And like I said, with this one in
All right,
Spanish.
everyone, the pro-life policies
Dr.
of the
Dave, which
nationalist
was very
government in
good.
Hungary are producing a massive surge in marriage rates and birth rates. As we'll be talking about on today's video, it's an Easter miracle. It's true.
You might wonder what this has to do with the United States, but just check this out.
Rising marriage rates, falling abortions, and the highest birth rates in over 20 years. So we're going to take a look at the demographic miracle that's going on in Hungary and how it's all just par for the course of a new and vibrant rising conservative age. You're going to absolutely love it. Greetings, everyone.
That's what it has to do.
Wonderful to be with you. As always, Dr. Steve here, super safe and sound.
Just like what Trump is doing here. I hope we can stop this
weekend each and every one of you. If this
economy
is your
freeze.
first time here at this channel, a warm welcome to you. We post 2 videos today. Analyzing current events, analyze some super awesome conservative trends. So you can live in the present in line of even better things to come. So you know what to do. If you haven't already done so, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. It'd be an absolute privilege to have you as a regular part of this channel where we together daily have the privilege of celebrating the inevitable collapse of left-wing globalism and the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age. Now, doesn't get better than that. Also, before you do anything else right now, make sure to click on the link below and check out the awesome new video that we put together just for you, featuring our brand new Turley Talks Insiders Club. We're so thankful to those of you who've already signed up, and you're going to love being a part of this massive group of conservatives from all over the world to network with. By becoming a member, you'll get more exclusive access to me and our journey together into this new conservative age we're embarking on. We help you think better and feel better. Each week, you'll get a special deep dive video solely for our Insiders members. You'll get access to our private Facebook group that features conservatives from all over the world to network with and fellowship with. You get my monthly reading list to keep you updated on the best and most enriching information that's out there. You get a number of bonus videos, and you'll even get some awesome accessories like our Turley Talks tumbler to drink your coffee in or whatever beverage of choice you like. So don't wait. Make sure to click on the link below. Watch the video on the Turley Talks Insiders Club to get a fuller sense of what you'll be a part of. I think you're going to absolutely love it. It was a privilege to put together for you, and it will be a privilege to journey with you into this new conservative age together. All right, let's have an Easter miracle celebration here. There is good news all over the place in the midst of this horrible pandemic. Realize terrible as it is. And one of those wonderful bright spots is coming out of the nation of Hungary. Now, as most of you know, but just to recap a bit, Hungarian politics has been dominated by the conservative nationalist Prime Minister Viktor Orban, who's a hero on this channel. He's currently serving out his third straight term as Prime Minister, his fourth term overall. And Orban he's made the revitalization of Hungary as a vibrant Christian democracy, a nationalist, populist, and traditionalist Christian democracy, the centerpiece of his administrative agenda. And as part of that vision, which we've covered on numerous other videos, I've written also a couple of books on it, in The Triumph of Tradition, The Return of Christendom. As a central part of that vision, the Orban administration has made nothing less than the revitalization of the traditional family one of his highest priorities. And so the Orban administration has implemented a number of measures to incentivize, I can say that, can I, higher fertility rates. Hungary's had alarmingly low fertility rates, about 1.2 children per woman, which is significantly below the replacement level, 2.1 children per woman. And so they're instituting programs and incentives for higher fertility rates. And they're doing that, in effect, by incentivizing marriage. And that's very important because high rates of marriage result in proportionally higher fertility rates. And so the Hungarian government has instituted measures such as providing grants to specifically married couples. And that's key in the Hungarian strategy. And I think it's absolutely brilliant there. The grants are provided to explicitly married couples because studies show that marriage is the primary impetus for children. The higher the rates of marriage, the higher the fertility rates. And so Hungary is providing grants specifically for married couples to get their first home paid in full, and then the amount of the grant that they have to pay back is determined by how many children they have. So upon having your first child, 1/3 of the loan's repayment would be waived, okay? With the birth of your second child, the couple would only have to pay back half the loan. Then, if they have a third child, they don't have to pay back a dime. The entire loan is written off. It gets even better. Starting this year, okay, January 2020, if you have a fourth child, you and your spouse no longer pay income tax for the rest of your lives. Did you hear that? If you have 4 children, you can get your first house paid for completely by the government, and you'll never have to pay income tax again. Who wants to move to Hungary, right? I'd have to learn the language. All right, so now we have the data on these policies. We get to see now how such incentives have been working. And again, it's nothing short of a miracle. As of January of this year, now keep in mind, this is actually during the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic, okay? So as of January this year, Hungary's seen an increase in nearly 10% more births and an increase of almost 100% more marriages. The number of marriages has almost doubled in January alone, with a concomitant 10% increase in fertility. I guess they start getting busy. The result is that in January, the population decline has slowed by an astonishing 47%. But it gets even better. These stats from January, and these, by the way, are being reported by Hungary Today, which is a really, really good resource for Hungarian news. You can also find it on voiceofeurope.com as well. We're awesome. Welcome back. These stats from January are just par for the course of the trends that have been going on since 2010, when these policies were first implemented. So since 2010 overall, marriage rates in Hungary have gone up 43%. Okay, you heard that right, nearly 50% increase in marriage. Not only that, divorces dropped by 23% during the same time period. You know what also dropped during this time period? Hungary's abortion rate. Again, during the same time period, so we're talking from 2010 onwards, the abortion rate in Hungary has dropped an astonishing 35%. There were less than 27,000 abortions in the entire nation back in 2018, for example. So Hungary does allow abortion only up to the 12th week of pregnancy, so it's limited to the first trimester and only in what they call grave crisis situations. So they have a mandatory waiting period combined with mandatory counseling, and there has to be an approval from a medical committee and the like. So they have a lot of, hurdles you have to clear, but they're walking the talk. Clearly, Hungary is currently experiencing its highest fertility rate now in 20 years and its highest marriage rate in over 40 years. And we're talking the future of Europe here, all right? The future of Europe is not the Middle East or Northern Africa as much as Turkish President Erdogan would like it to be. Now, the future of Europe is found in the pro-life policies of nationalist, populist, conservative governments who are taking the demographic crisis that has plagued Europe for over the last 3 decades very, very seriously. As Lyman Stone, who's a research fellow at the Institute of Family Studies, has pointed out, Hungary's not just experiencing a fertility spike. Hungary is actually winding back the clock on much of the fertility and family structure implosion that demographers have long considered inevitable and irreversible in Europe. Hungary is now reversing it. They're standing as an exception to that rule. Now, of course, we talked about this on other videos, but the news gets even better. Hungary's not alone. Poland, Russia, and the Republic of Georgia have all instituted pro-life, pro-family policies that are effectively reversing their respective fertility declines. Some really impressive numbers in Russia that have just been released show that abortion rates have dropped 10% in Russia in the year 2018, and abortions have gone down around 40% in the last 7 years. There are reports that abortions have dropped by 2/3, by 63.5% since 2000. This according to Interfax. And the number of Russians who identify as pro-life has actually tripled in that same time period. So it seems little question that we really are seeing nothing less than a nationalist, populist, traditionalist baby boom going on in Europe for those nations that have fully re-embraced their cultures, customs, and traditions as powerful resources for a flourishing future. These are the countries that have turned back to the Christian foundations so indispensable to European civilization, and as such, they're preserving such a magnificent civilization for all of us, for the whole of the West, and indeed for generations to come. Now, before you go, you'll definitely want to check out my latest video I just posted on the ultra-liberal Bill Maher declaring war on political correctness. He's had enough of it, and he's but the latest in a long line of liberals that are rebelling finally against the culture of wokeness. You're going to absolutely love it. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there.
It's great. Dr. Stevens is just great. Among the best, one of the best. Sometimes I post these videos and it's hard for me to get to him, but when I do, I just love it. I want to try to look. There's more let me see. This one is short. I just like to put things on. Okay, this one is short. I'm going to put one more on. Oh no, wait a minute. Let me see if I can check another one. Let's see this one here. Let's see how long this one lasts. If they last too long, I'm not going to jump.
I knew their
No, it's too
heart-wrenching
long.
story.
That's too long. Let me see if I can put just one more. There's one here that I just want to. Okay, let me see if this one doesn't last too long, because this one is just great. I heard it, but I wouldn't just want to know if it lasts. Okay, it's okay. This one I'm going to put it on because I want you to hear what's happening with communism and in North Korea. The same thing in Cuba and Venezuela. The only thing is a lot more extremism and extreme.
In 2011, during the final 6 months of Kim Jong-il's life, I lived undercover in North Korea.
Check this one out. This one is great.
I was born and raised
This
in
will be the
South
last
Korea,
one.
their enemy. I live in America, their other enemy. Since 2011, 2002, I had visited North Korea a few times, and I had come to realize that to write about it with any meaning or to understand the place beyond the regime's propaganda, the only option was total immersion. So I posed as a teacher and a missionary at an all-male university in Pyongyang. The Pyongyang University of Science and Technology was founded by evangelical Christians who cooperate with the regime to educate the sons of the North Korean elite without proselytizing, which is a capital crime there. The students were 270 young men expected to be the future leaders of the most isolated and brutal dictatorship in existence. When I arrived, they became my students. 2011 was a special year, marking the 100th anniversary of the birth of North Korea's original great leader, Kim Il-sung. To celebrate the occasion, the regime shut down all universities and sent students off to the fields to build the DPRK's much heralded idea as the world's most powerful and prosperous nation. My students were the only ones spared from that fate. North Korea is a gulag posing as a nation. Everything there is about the great leader. Every book, every newspaper article, every song, every TV program, there is just one subject. The flowers are named after him. The mountains are carved with his slogans. Every citizen wears the badge of the great leader at all times. Even their calendar system begins with the birth of Kim Il-sung. The school was a heavily guarded prison posing as a campus. Teachers could only leave on group outings accompanied by an official reminder. Even then, our trips were limited to sanctioned national monuments celebrating the great leader. The students were not allowed to leave the campus or communicate with their parents. Their days were meticulously mapped out, and any free time they had was devoted to honoring their great leader. Lesson plans had to meet the approval of North Korean staff. Every class was recorded and reported on. Every room was bugged and every conversation overheard. Every blank space was covered with the portraits of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, like everywhere else in North Korea. We were never allowed to discuss the outside world. As the students of science and technology, many of them were computer majors, but they did not know the existence of the internet. They had never heard of Mark Zuckerberg or Steve Jobs. Facebook, Twitter, none of those things would have meant a thing. And I could not tell them. I went there looking for truth. But where do you even start when an entire nation's ideology, my students' day-to-day realities, and even my own position at the universities were all built on lies? I started with a game. We played Truth and Lie. A volunteer would write a sentence on the chalkboard and the other students had to guess whether it was a truth or a lie. Once a student wrote, "I visited China last year on vacation," and everyone shouted lie. They all knew this wasn't possible. Virtually no North Korean is allowed to leave the country. Even traveling within their own country requires a travel pass. I had hoped that this game would reveal some truth about my students because they lie so often and so easily, whether about the mythical accomplishments of their great leader or the strange claim that they cloned a rabbit as fifth graders. The difference between truth and lie seemed at times hazy to them. It took me a while to understand the different type of lies. They lied to shield their system from the world, or they were taught lies and were just regurgitating them. Or at moments, they lied out of habit. But if all they have ever known were lies, how could we expect them to be otherwise? Next, I tried to teach them essay writing, but that turned out to be nearly impossible. Essays are about coming up with one's own thesis, making an evidence-based argument to prove it. These students, however, were simply told what to think and they obeyed. In their world, critical thinking was not allowed. I also gave them the weekly assignment of writing a personal letter to anybody. It took a long time, but eventually some of them began to write to their mothers, their friends, their girlfriends. Although those were just homework and would never reach their intended recipients, my students slowly began to reveal their true feelings in them. They wrote that they were fed up with the sameness of everything. They were worried about their future. In those letters, they rarely ever mentioned their great leader. I was spending all of my time with this young man. We all ate meals together, played basketball together. I often called them gentlemen, which made them giggle. They blushed at the mention of girls. And I came to adore them. And watching them open up, even in the tiniest ways, was deeply moving. But something also felt wrong. During those months of living in their world, I often wondered if the truth would in fact improve their lives. I wanted so much to tell them the truth of their country and of the outside world, where Arab youth were turning their rotten regime inside out using the power of social media, where everyone except them was connected through the World Wide Web, which wasn't worldwide after all. But for them, the truth was dangerous. By encouraging them to run after it, I was putting them at risk of persecution, of heartbreak. When you're not allowed to express anything in open, you become good at reading what is unspoken. In one of their personal letters to me, a student wrote that he understood why I always called them gentlemen. It was because I was wishing them to be gentle in life, he said. On my last day in December 2011, the day Kim Jong-il's death was announced, their world shattered. I had to leave without a proper goodbye. But I think they knew how sad I was for them. Once, toward the end of my stay, a student said to me, "Professor, we never think of you as being different from us. Our circumstances are different, but you're the same as us. We want you to know that we truly think of you as being the same." Today, if I could respond to my students with a letter of my own, which is of course impossible, I would tell them this. My dear gentlemen, it's been a bit over 3 years since I last saw you. And now you must be 22, maybe even as old as 23. At our final class, I asked you if there was anything you wanted. The only wish you expressed, the only thing you ever asked of me in all those months we spent together was for me to speak to you in Korean, just once. I was there to teach you English. You knew it wasn't allowed. But I understood then you wanted to share that bond of our mother tongue. I called you my gentleman, but I don't know if being gentle in Kim Jong-un's merciless North Korea is a good thing. I don't want you to lead a revolution. Let some other young person do it. The rest of the world might casually encourage or even expect some sort of North Korean spring. But I don't want you to do anything risky because I know in your world, someone is always watching. I don't want to imagine what might happen to you. If my attempts to reach you have inspired something new in you, I would rather you forget me. Become soldiers of your great leader and live long, safe lives. You once asked me if I thought your city of Pyongyang was beautiful, and I could not answer it truthfully then. But I know why you asked. I know that it was important for you to hear that I, your teacher, the one who has seen the world that you are forbidden from, declare your city as the most beautiful. I know hearing that would make your lives there a bit more bearable. But no, I don't find your capital beautiful. Not because it's monotone and concrete, but because of what it symbolizes, a monster that feeds off the rest of the country, where citizens are soldiers and slaves. All I see there is darkness. But it's your home, so I cannot hate it. And hope instead that you, my lovely young gentleman, will one day help make it beautiful. Thank you.
There you go. You heard it from the mouth of a Korean, North Korean, ex-North Korean citizen. What's happening in North Korea? I'm going to leave it up to that. That'll be all for today. And the only thing I want to say is, reason. Liberals, look, reason. You're in a party that wants to destroy you, that wants to murder you, that wants to destroy your freedom. Wake up, wake up. I already presented proof from the mouth of a born North Korean woman. She said it all. What else can you expect? Is she lying? Is the videos that I showed on Kim Jong-un is lying? The only thing you have to do is read and inform yourself. Don't let people like Bernie Sanders brainwash you into believing what is not true. Look what happened in the ex-Soviet Union. From the mouth of people who went through that, people who went through the gulags, people who saw their fathers taken away and to never come back alive. There are movies on the gulag. There's one person who was I think was a Russian boxer who won a championship in the United States. So, and there's a story on him. I just don't can remember this from with a famous actor. I just don't remember the name of the actor or the name of the movie. It's terrifying. There are movies where you can see what these people went through. Check this movie. Well, no, I forgot the name of the movie. It's a famous movie from the 70s or 60s. Wow. Not the Fiddler on the Roof. Dr. Zhivago. Watch that movie. I've read books on what happened there, and it's more or less the same. Look at the doctor who he went on to war. And then when he came back, they took his property over, and the guy was leveled to a point where he just had to sleep in one of the rooms because his whole house was taken over, and people were living in this house. That's what communism is all about. Only for you, not for them. because Stanley didn't live with them, with him, in the building surrounded by a whole bunch of peasants. No, he lived in a palace, and he terrorized the whole country into submitting and into enslaving their minds and the whole nation submitting to him. The whole nation became slaves. So wake up. I don't think that you want for yourself what you want for your family, for your father, your sons. I don't think you want them to go through that, to the point where they're dying of hunger. You can see them dying of hunger. Because you got a person like Bernie Sanders, just as evil, who doesn't care. He just wants power. This guy was a bum. And all of these Democrats are the same. They just want your money. They just want to enrich themselves by all means possible, just like Hillary did by selling armaments and selling uranium and committing all kinds of treasons. They're all the same. And I'm not saying all Republicans are not guilty, are saints. Some of them are just as evil. You got Mitt Romney, and many others. They're just as guilty. And Mitt Romney has a case. I think his son is involved in the Ukraine deal, if I'm not mistaken. Be careful what you choose for. You might just get it. Donald Trump, like I always say, I pray for you and your family. I pray that God bless you and protect you, including Mike Pence and the whole country. I always I ask God, please bless the United States eternally, so we won't fall on that same nightmare which has taken over, has touched the hearts and souls of people in Cuba and Venezuela and destroyed them, their hopes forever. Well, maybe forever. But you could see an example is North Korea. There's no hope there. There's no way of turning that place over. The guy is just pure evil, doesn't care. I always pray for the freedom of Cuba, Venezuela, Nicaragua, and North Korea from this nightmare. China, at least, had opened up the free market because they know their system wasn't going to work. It was going to keep on destroying the economy. It's going to keep the economy, the power. Now they're a superpower because they open up the free market. That's what free market does. It helps the country. It empowers the country. And Donald Trump, let's open up to business again. There's no reason to shut down the economy. I mean, this is the use of gloves and the mask, the antivirus mask. People can use that. Just enforce it. They say, no, you got to use this. If you want to come in, they can walk out freely. Okay, walk out on the outside. If they're going to go into a train station, no, you got to use a mask. But it looks ridiculous that we are arresting people because they're not using a mask on the outside or playing basketball or something. Let them play all they want. If they want to get sick and they want to die, or hey, it's not your fault. But if they're going to go into a restaurant, or they're going to a theater, or they're going to go for a job, or they're going to go to work, hey, enforce them that they needed to use the mask. No, you can't work. It goes, you can discriminate. No, we're not discriminating. You're the one who's hurting yourself because we have a law to protect the other people who are going to use it. And if you don't want to use it, that means you don't care about the other people, so we can't have you in here. Just enforce that kind of law and a fine. No, you can't come in here. And if you come and if you violate a fine, or then 3 months in jail. 3 months in jail until you wake up. There's some ways of killing people, but if the people don't want to listen, hey, just enforce the law. If they want to walk outside in the park or something, let them. If they don't want to use a mask, their problem. Those that want to save themselves, they'll use a mask. I'm going to use it from now on. As a matter of fact, I'm going to use it permanently every time I go out because I don't know who carries a virus or in the cold system where the virus develops itself. I don't know who's contaminated. I don't know who's going to sneeze on me and then forget about it. I'm gone. And at my stage of age, with chronic asthma and other heart conditions, oh, forget about it. I'm a goner. So from now on, I'm using the mask and I'm using gloves. I don't care how the people ridicule me. You know, if they want to ridicule me, hey, okay, no problem. I'll keep saying hi. I'll keep doing it. If they want to, hey, oh, hi. If they ridicule me, just walk away. Just walk away from people like that. They want to say, oh, you're scared. Say, yes, I am. And if they want to make fun of you, just walk away from them. Ignore them. Go about your business and stay away from people who want to risk your life or don't care about you. So God bless you all. God bless America. Have a happy Easter. And remember, Easter's all about remembering the resurrection of God. Easter Sunday, when he was raised and he confronted and won against death, the Savior of this world. God bless you all. Until next time, bye-bye.